Hello guys, how are you? I hope you're fine. In this video I'll show you one of the most important periods of human history that not only changed the way art is created, but also changed the mentality of global culture. Let's start. As we evaluated in the last topic, once Christianity had control and power over the entire occidental part of the world, art started to suffer from alterations, misconceptions, and from a huge ideological dependency for its development. However, the formal convictions and artistic limits that religion established were heavily transformed during the human period that took place mainly in Italy, known as the Renaissance. During this era, art, like other expressions of human capacity such as science, literature, or philosophy, was transformed into a more humanistic, rational, and anthropocentric manifestation and retook most of the Greek and Roman influence. As a matter of context, the comprehension and study of the Renaissance is developed by its division into three main periods, those being Quattrocento, period in which the artistic style from the Middle Ages disappeared. The High Renaissance. Along its duration, art became more mature and started to have a more humanistic approach. And finally, we have Late Renaissance, also known as Mannerism. The most representative art developers from this era, such as Michelangelo and Da Vinci, heavily influenced and inspired the artworks present in this period of time. All of these stages of human history were affected by a series of economic and social factors, such as although they were considered as pagan, their ecological rest from Greek and Roman mythology always served as a source of inspiration for artistic development. During the Renaissance, aspects such as the proper balance within artworks or the cult of beauty present in the mentioned civilizations were recovered. City-states. This aspect can be defined as a geographical city within a state that had its own political and economic development. Some of the most important cities were Venice, Milan, and Florence. Finally, we have the creation of the mecenate. This concept refers to those wealthy, rich, or powerful figures and families that gave economic support to artists. This kind of people were also known as patrons, and they offered financial aid as an act of generosity and contribution in order to improve or highlight their public image. The most recognized patrons were the members of the Medici family, which was mainly comprehended by queens, dukes, and popes. Now, as any other period in human history, the Renaissance has some unique characteristics. Some of them are the following. The new idea of beauty. Beauty was not established or given by the reflection of God. Instead, the new conception was based on a proper balance, proportion, and symmetry in the objects. Some example of these characteristics can be Da Vinci's work, The Vitruvian Man, which is a triangle of the human body that explains its proportions based on the works of an architect called Vitruvius. Anthropocentrism. During the Renaissance, the most important figure was the human being. This led to the development of humanism, which is a philosophy in which the appreciation of worldly pleasures intensified the assertion of personal independence and individual expression. Individualism. Artists began to feel proud of their works and subsequently of the form of living they were creating. This led to the creation of individualism, which is an aspect that refers that the individual experience of reality is more important and interesting than afterlife. This weakened the faith to the concept of God. Naturalism. This refers to the rise of new techniques that helped it to recreate the world and the perception of reality into art. During Romanticism, this factor helped to rise the importance of landscapes and nature themes. And finally, we have perspective, which it was until this era that some artworks started to add some three-dimensional look. Now we're going to focus more on architecture. Within architecture, artists relied on simplicity and pure proportions for the development of their works. This generated that the geometry within it was very simple, and the dimensions did not reflect any god. Instead, they reflected the intellectual control of human being over its environment through mathematics and proportion. For architects, the perfect geometric form was the circle, since Plato once gave to this figure a divine association with perfection, and also was majorly linked with the recent interest for the observation of nature. Due to the mentioned factors, it was always included in architectural works. One of the most influential architects from this era was Donato Bramante, who made the Tempietto, which is a place that shows the exact localization in which St. Peter was crucified. However, in painting, more characteristics were given, and each of them were more specific than those present in architecture. Some of them are: we have the use of new techniques like tempera, which is a painting made through the mixture of a burning material with dry pigments or color, or the implementation of oil paint for the details within the subject. The use of different themes, such as religious ones as well as some mythological stories. A perfect example is the painting made by Sandro Botticelli, called The Birth of Venus, which combines the themes of individualism and anthropocentrism with the mythological Roman background of the goddess Venus. And also, artists always try to portray subject in a more realistic way, so in order to achieve it, they dominated the usage and amount of light and shadows, the vanishing point, which is a point within a painting in which all the lines intersect, and movement of the subject. A great example is a painting, The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci, which depicts the last dining of Jesus with his disciples. For instance, we have that the vanishing point within it is the head of Christ, due to the fact all the lines from the painting join into that point. And finally, we have sculpture. In sculpture, artists reuse materials such as marble and use new ones such as bronze. Sculptures have different themes that not only comprehend religion, but also mythology and profanity, and even some medieval themes were represented in an allegorical way. The most influential artist of this manifestation was Donatello, who elaborated the famous statue of David, that not only showed the gestures of satisfaction and success on his very detailed face, but also represented the power and success of the underdog within the resistance against tyranny in the Florentine Republic. Another important work is the stone portrait of Gattamelata, which shows the confidence, power, and sense of invincibility that this mercenary from Padua had. Another important sculptor was Michelangelo, who also was a painter, writer, and architect. He built the statue of Pieta, Mercy in English. This work shows the moment in which Mary the Virgin held Jesus with a sad face. The sculpture by itself demonstrates a comparison between the image of Mary and Jesus, unlike the most non-existent difference of ages between the subjects. He also rebuilt the sculpture of David, but focusing more on the allegoric way of the triumph of the Florentine Republic. The pose shows David in his search for the enemy, demonstrating not only his preoccupation but also his determination for the battle. This work is differentiated from the one created by Donatello due to the particular use of proportion and the overall size of the monument. As I said in the beginning of the video, the Renaissance not only changed the way art was created, but also changed the ideology and mentality that human beings had over reality. And through those innovations, the human being achieved the balance between God, the universe, and its own reality and existence. Thank you.